I've known Dustin since I was in kindergarten, um, and we've been best friends since. And back in sixth grade, I moved up to Seattle with my family. And on and off each summer, I'd come down to LA and visit Dustin for a couple weeks. And every other summer, Dustin would come up and visit me in Washington, up in Seattle. So because of that, we've just been best friends since. So I just want to start off with a little short story. Dustin's been, between the two of us, Dustin's always been the leader of the two of us. He's been able to convince me to, delve into all sorts of nefarious, mischievous schemes, all sorts of bad ideas. And I always knew it's like they weren't the best ideas, but okay, I'll just go with it, whatever.
He's agreed.
Yeah, he's a good man. So, with that said, I'll kick it off with the story. One of the summers I came down to LA, Dustin convinced me, my friend Jordan Fowler, who's out in the back, who's been watching with me, and Dustin and myself, to do this training exercise that he had read out of the Navy SEALs training manual. Kind of go with the military thing here, right? This exercise is basically we hog-tie the trainee, pick him up, and then throw him in the pool. And the goal was to free yourself before you drowned, or kind of work your way over to the shallow end of the pool and not have any issues. So Dustin was the first one up. I don't like this kind of stuff, so I elected to go last. So Dustin was the first one up, and we tied him up. Jordan and I back there, like I was saying, take him, chuck him in the pool. He bounces up face first in the water, kind of struggles for a bit, but he manages to wriggle himself over to the shallow end of the pool just fine and kind of sets himself free and hops out of the pool. He's like, oh, that's easy, piece of cake, nothing to it. I was just a little bit terrified, nothing to it. So after that one, next up we had Jordan Fowler in the back. Mrs. Green was kind enough to document this with pictures, so it was officially parent endorsed. So we tied Jordan up, hog-tied and everything. We grabbed him by the legs, Dustin by the shoulders, chuck him in the pool. He kind of bobbles in the water for a couple seconds. 10 seconds go by, and Dustin and I look at each other and we just kind of chuckle. It's like, look at him go. And 10 more seconds go by, and he's still in the deep end of the pool, and we're like, uh-oh. This isn't good. So yeah, obviously, at that point, we realized Jordan wasn't doing so hot. So Dustin and I, we jump in the pool and we drag him over to the shallow end of the pool. Jordan's head pops out, he gets a big gasp of air, and he goes, dude, I almost drowned there. What the heck, guys? It was just craziness. So, needless to say, that's something that we never did again. But point of the story, though, is just, Dustin's always had the leadership of, and he's always been the guy who could talk his way into anything, including throwing each other in the pool tied up. So, kind of going back a couple years, another one story goes back to second grade. Dustin and I, obviously best friends and all. Sorry, just a second. Dustin was Mr. Know-It-All. He is matter of fact and he's never afraid to share it. And back in second grade and stuff, we had this absolute fascination with fighter jets. My personal favorite is the F-16 Fighting Falcon. I think Dustin's was the F-18 Hornet. This cool jets and everything. And we'd talk hours on end about how we'd become ace pilots and become this engineering duo and design our own jets and make them and then become ace pilots. It'd be like Tom Cruise and Top Gun or something. So obviously, Dustin, to clarify though, Dustin was always the one who, he'd be the one with the dream and the vision. He'd be the one who would say, we can do this, Danny. We can totally shape a fuselage in my dad's shop and, engineer a jet engine and make the control systems and all sorts of stuff. I mean, I was like, well, there's probably a reason these things cost millions of dollars and only Boeing makes them, But, fun with it, because Dustin he was a great guy, He could just communicate this, and he's a very charismatic guy, and it rubbed off. And so we'd be just sitting there and making these checks and everything. So, really kind of going on this topic, kind of segue here. Jets and, Navy games and all sorts of stuff, they weren't the only thing that we did. We also had, well, a little background first. Dustin, Allison, and I all went to kindergarten together, and I was there through 3rd grade. And back in the day of when girls were icky and disgusting and could never like a girl, and cuties were the worst disease known to mankind since the plague and the Dark Ages. Well, Dustin and I just had the biggest little kid crush on Allison. After going over our draft plans for warplanes and taking over the world, we'd go tired of that, and then we'd start talking about deciding who's gonna marry Allison when we grow up. So it's just amazing to me that 2 years later, well, more than 2 years, 15 years later or whatever, here we are, and here's Dustin getting married to Allison. It's ridiculous. You did beat me up. No. So, I kind of opened with this whole story about, Dustin being a great leader, and I guess, his judgment was a bit off with the whole Navy SEAL thing. But, in contrast, I definitely think that Dustin made the right choice here. His judgment is spot on. He chose himself a wonderful wife, someone who loves and cares for him. She's a great person. I mean, our elementary crush, how much better can it get? And Allison, chose yourself as a great man. He's been my buddy for 18 years now. He's been with me through thick and thin and all sorts of stuff. He's a great guy, man of integrity. He'll be with you forever. So, I'm happy for you too. I'm glad you two are getting married. And cheers to the two of you. Thank you.
Hi everyone. For those of you who don't know me by now, I'm Jamie Palmer, and I'm Allison's best friend. I met Allison when we were both in 7th grade at LAB. I transferred over in between semesters, and one of the first friends who approached me and introduced me to every single person in Mrs. Christensen's first period science class was this cute little blonde girl with the coolest pair of hot pink sparkly bell bottoms that I think I'm still jealous about them. I want those pants. Even though Allison was a cheerleader and on ASB and I wasn't as involved with school events, we always shared a love for the stage together, singing in choir, performing in the theater club productions, and choreographing for the annual fashion show. We have over 10 years of memories shared together, and it was really hard to pick some. But those include shopping, lots of shopping, lots of credit card debt. Writing rap songs such as "My butt is too big for my pantalones." Inventing alter egos such as the Trailer Trash Hose or Rockin' and Spanky. And taking classes at College of the Canyons together and going on trips. We've shared a lot of memories together in Palm Springs and Newport Beach, and our most recent trip was out here with Mama Flynn and Aunt Diane out here to Temecula to finalize everything with the vendors. A few years ago, in the gap of time between boot camp and being deployed, Dustin and I met up at an LAB football game. I don't know if you remember this. We hadn't really been close friends throughout LAB, but we stayed connected on MySpace after graduating. So of course, my family made a big deal about me going to a football game with a boy. Little did they know that he'd be marrying my best friend today. I remember being so impressed with your level of maturity, Dustin. And when I got home, I raved about what a great guy I got to hang out with. After, my mom had to ask me if I had a crush on Dustin. And I will never forget replying with, Actually, no. He's a great guy, and I would definitely approve of any of my friends dating him, just not for me. It worked out. Fast forward a few months later, and Allie and Dustin end up reconnecting at a party when he's on a visit home, and the rest is history. One of my favorite memories shared with Allie and Dustin is one Allison reminded me of the other day, and we laughed hysterically about. I was called around, it was probably like 11:30 or midnight. The night before I was leaving to go on a week-long trip. I was packing and I was exhausted, and Allie calls me, "Jamie, we're in the parking lot at Nachos. We need you to come jumpstart our car." I was like, "Well, where the heck is Nachos?" "Pablo and Devonshire, it's by the IHOP." So I pull up to this really shady-looking Mexican restaurant called Nachos, and I end up having to jumpstart their car. And so we're all joking and laughing, and Dustin thinks it's funny to start telling me zombie stories. And it's really freaking me out because it's the middle of the night and I get scared easily. And out of the corner of one of our eyes, we spot this lady. She's sitting on like a parking block, and she looks like a zombie. And so we're like, "Oh my gosh," joking around, "ha ha ha, it's a zombie." And so we say our goodbyes, the cars are fine, and we hug, and we get in our cars. And from their point of the story, the woman started walking towards the car, actually looking like a crazy zombie, and she opened Allison's car door, and Dustin sped off. I didn't see this, I'm driving, and she's waddling towards my car like a zombie. And so we just recall that night as a night that we encountered a real life zombie. It was funnier if you were there. In the summer of 2009, Dustin decided to throw Daniel a going-away party as he was going back up to Washington. And during the party, when Allie was talking to other people, Dustin pulled me to his room, shut the door, and excitedly opened his closet. When he pulled a box from the top shelf, I immediately hysterically started crying and asked, "Is that what I think it is?" Well, Allie opened the door, took one peek in, and shut the door really fast, and she never ended up asking about that night until after Dustin proposed. The proposal was such a great surprise, and I loved the time spent with Dustin in going to scope out the location and pick out a restaurant for the evening. He kept me in the loop through it all, and it has been such a blast being able to watch both of your journey together from both sides. As a girl, you grow up with the expectation that when your best girlfriend gets a boyfriend, you lose your friend. So of course, I had those fears in the beginning, but was presented with an unbelievable surprise. Not only did I gain a new friend in Dustin, but I gained an even better friend in Allison. Allie, you've grown to be such a strong, compassionate, mature, adventurous, amazing woman in the time that Dustin has been in your life. I know we both know that, especially in the last year, our own friendship has grown, and I think Dustin is to thank for so much of that. Dustin, instead of feeling obligated to be a friend to me, because your wife is, you've cared deeply for me and what goes on in my life. You have a strong sense of concern for all things that are important to Allison, and you make it just as important to yourself as well. You both have such a strong passion for God, and it has been so inspiring to me to watch you walk through your engagement period, not only together, but guided by the Lord. A last memory I want to share happened on Monday night. After Allie's bachelorette extravaganza, Allie, Dustin, Daniel, and I hung out at their new apartment. We sat around the living room, and we shared some wine, and we told stories, and had real conversations. It was immediately apparent to me how ready you both were for this wedding, and for this marriage. After all of these years, we were finally adults, talking about grown-up things, being completely honest with each other, and being friends. Thank you both for allowing me to watch and be a part of this beautiful journey you are on. I love you both very much. And now, would you all join me in raising your glasses to Allison and Dustin? May God bless your new life together as richly as you have blessed all of the lives here.